Good morning and welcome to Everyday Money Matters on Lagos Talks 91.3 FM. My name is Adu, and it's a beautiful, beautiful Wednesday, the 2nd of June. Good to have you here. And of course, Everyday Money Matters is brought to you in partnership with our friends at Nairametrics, your lead-in destination for business news and information and all that contains or concerns the financial market. Well, I'm not alone in the studio. I'm joined virtually by our money team today. And let me start my introductions by welcoming to the microphone Mr. Olumide Adeshina, the finance man, I like to call him. How you doing, Mr. Olumide? Good morning to you.
Yeah, good morning, Nadu. Happy Wednesday. You're looking good, like your shirt.
Thank you. Thank you. Uh, let's see who else is also in the building. Okay, just Olumide for now. I'm sure others will join us as we progress. I'm not sure if Loretta is ready to speak. Loretta, are you there?
Oh yeah.
Oh, okay. Good to have you.
Good morning.
Yes, good morning, Loretta. All right. So if you have questions and you want to ask our panelists, all you have to do is send them to us on social media at Lagos Talks 913 or at Nairametrics on Twitter, or you can better still just send them to our WhatsApp line, okay, 0809-234-5913. All right. So let's just get into it, guys. Lots of questions here. And I think we'll try to take as much as we can within the space of time we have. First question here is why has the Naira continued to devalue despite the CBN adopting the NAFEX rate at 410? Personal testimony last week, I bought the dollar at 495 from a proper
Uh,
the change, that is. So,
okay. Yeah, I think that word is a bit sensitive because if you look at what's really happening, I'm very sure you bought that at the parallel market. That's the black market, right?
yeah,
So yeah, that's not the official rate because I know a lot of people that got their dollars through the banks at a very at a much cheaper rate. I think around 440. So this is what really happening. The Apex Bank over some months ago have spoken about the unifying of the currencies. We had three different exchanges rates, three exchange rates. So what they did was that the first one that they use basically is for manufacturers. That's the 379 was removed on their website. So it was updated with the 410 in after rate. So a lot of people thought that that rate would start with the official one. So I think it's still the same because you still get a lot of people still get those that already have genuine concerns and genuine needs through the banks. Like if you're paying school fees, you still get rate fairly at that level. So what I tell people is that if you really have genuine concerns, like you want to pay school fees, why would you go through the black market? You want to pay for a ticket, and you have travel, you have a valid visa at the countries mandated by CBN for such remittance, yeah, for such levies, you can get it. So I don't think there's any cause for alarm because our foreign reserve look pretty much cool. Can handle about 6 months of export import payment. So I think we are pretty good. Yeah. So there's no cause for alarm. So anybody that is concerned about devaluation is basically getting the dollar at the parallel market. If you have genuine concerns, there's so many banks. If one of the banks are giving you issues, you can report to the CBN. CBN has mandated customers that when banks don't issue these things to you, you can send a report. And trust me, they take serious look at that because I've had an experience with that and it was dealt with within 48 hours. In fact, the bank had to send an apology. So I think people should stop this devaluation thing and stop creating fire where there's no there's no alarm. So I think that's basically my bias.
But the question, I hear you, Olumide, well said there. The question though, this person is asking that why is there still continued devaluation?
You see,
So is
pretty
it our actions that are putting us where we are, or what exactly is responsible for it?
pretty much it's not just the naira. Let's be fair. We practice a fixed exchange system. So at one point, the dollar was kind of the dollar was subsidized, has been subsidized for a long in fact, a lot of market experts will tell you that the naira is still trading at a discount, because if you look at the exchange rate compared to other frontier markets, you understand, with the kind of inflation and the kind of economy being run, it became paramount for the CBN to adjust the rates, because see, the cost of maintaining that value was becoming pretty expensive for them. So I think what they're trying to do is that they are easing such subsidy. At the same time, they're diversifying the economy. But a lot of people are used to the fact that the rates they get at 4 years ago are different from what they're getting now. But let me tell you the honest truth, Adu. The United States dollar has devalued pretty much against the British pound. And a lot of my friends in the United States, for example, they are really complaining. They're not finding it funny, especially those that have needs to pay in the United Kingdom. So I think it just depends on how you're looking at it. And yes, our currency is not performing as it should, but I don't think it's something that people should just really worry about. Yes, they are working towards that, because we look at the recent monetary policy statement by the Apex Bank. They've already given us their word on how they are trying to diversify the economy and reduce our importation addiction, because those are one of the things that make the currency prone to devaluation. When your currency, when the demand for the dollar is much higher than the naira, that's where you see problems coming. So these are things that have been prevailing. So these are just symptoms. The underlying issue has always been problem of we import almost everything. You understand? You can imagine somebody telling me that you prefer to even get an ashoke, a local fabric from the United States that being made in Nigeria. So it tells you that it's not just the Apex Bank. We have orientation issues. So these are things that will wither with time. So I think basically people should be more concerned about optimizing our productivity than the devaluation of the.
I totally agree with you, because back in the early 70s, early 80s, the naira versus the dollar, felt like it was almost equivalent, but 30 something years down the line, the reverse is the case. Oh, well, let's take some more questions here. So Olumide, maybe you might just want to answer this as well, because it's kind of related to what we're talking about. This person says, how can I start a BDC business in Nigeria?
A very good question. I think just for time, you could check the CBN website, but I'll run you through. First of all, you must have, they'll do background check on you. So if you have questionable character, or you've done some scams, or you've had criminal cases, forget about it. You're going to deposit an amount of money, I think between 10 to 40 million at the CBN. Upon approval, that funds will be refunded back to you. And I think application fee. Then you join the Association Bureau, the change operator known as APCON. And I think there's a mandatory fee for that. I think it's about 600,000. Then inspectors will come to check your business to see that you're not really a scammer or somebody of questionable. Your environment is conducive for PTCs. So I think basically on that, then you get the drawing board. So that's. But it takes a lot of process. So people usually have their lawyers, financial lawyers, that can do the service for you. But that's the basic.
Oh, thank you.
Okay.
Okay, let me just confirm. Okay, then I have the question here. All right. Still in the dollar issue, right? Another person is asking, what investment opportunities are available for me in dollars here in Nigeria? What investment opportunities are available for me in dollars here in Nigeria?
Okay. I thought Loretta wanted to answer that, but I think.
I can handle it. Don't
Okay.
worry. Well, I'll say there's a lot of them that are available, particularly because you have fintech apps like Trove and Bamboo and Rise, where you can make dollar investments. So you can invest in stocks, you can trade and all of that on those platforms. So that kind of bridges the gap that would ordinarily have been there if you could not trade abroad. Yeah.
I'm sorry, could you repeat that, Loretta?
Did you guys get that? Okay, I think I have a bit of a network issue. So,
So I think
Olumide, just hand it over.
yeah, I
I'll
think
try to.
what she was saying is that you can get pretty much exposure in foreign stocks through some of these trendy apps. She gave some of their names. Then, but I think if listeners have been following our program, remember when an executive from Standard Chartered came on board, he spoke about mutual funds in these foreign in domicile currencies. So I think that's another good opportunity. In fact, you get less exposure to uh, trading risk because they have better fund managers than uh, you trading by yourself. Then, if you really don't want to do that, then we also have you can put your funds in staking. We have something we call staking in the crypto market where you fix your funds for a certain period of time. So you get returns, and it's becoming the next big thing because a lot of time they give you rates higher than the inflation rate of Nigeria. So I think that's another option. But I think the major thing is that the less your risk appetite, consider fund managers. They are the best for these things. Standard Chartered, we have other investment banks too that offer these services. So if you have as little as $100, I think you are good to go.
Mhm. Well, all right. Thank you very much, Olumide. So, just in case you're joining us and you're listening, this is Everyday Money Matters on Lagos Talks 91.3, brought to you in partnership with our friends at nairametrics.com. And of course, that website will allow you to have a lot of information in the business market, financial news, analysis, so many things that you can get when you go to nairametrics.com. But most importantly, if you want to learn how to be a prolific investor, you want to be a smart investor, you want to get the best out of the stock market, then you should subscribe to the Stock Select newsletter. And it's going to give you a lot of features, bi-monthly analysis, breakdowns, when to buy, when to hold, when to sell, etc., that will help you to, make the most out of the market. And I think it's something you should consider. So go to ssn.nairametrics.com for you to be able to subscribe to it. That's ssn.nairametrics.com. And you can subscribe to it. And also, you can watch this episode over and over again. Just go to youtube.com and search for Nairametrics, and you can see my face as well as Olumide's if you so choose. And of course, learn from all the responses to the various questions. Let's get back into it. This last bunch of questions all seem to bother on cryptocurrency. But before we get into that, because I know Olumide, that's your forte, I think Loretta can help us with two questions. I hope our network is better now. This one is asking, is it wise to start a restaurant business in my area, despite having a 9 to 5? And how can I go about cost estimation? Then the second one, Loretta, is, are there investments that can bring returns above inflation in Nigeria at the moment? So two questions. Did you get that?
Yeah, I did.
Great.
First, restaurant business, I would say, if you have a 9 to 5, and you want to start a restaurant business, then it means that you must have the capital, then you must have the people that will also be able to manage it, because you will not have the time to manage it. And that also means that since it's a startup and you're not going to be able to give it your time, a few things might suffer. However, there are also different things to consider. For example, does your 9 to 5 allow you to work virtually? Next thing to consider is the restaurant business. Is this in a physical, are you actually opening a restaurant, or it's just like food delivery business where you can just manage the processes and then people will get their food along the way? I would say you should create the best structure based on the finance you have, obviously, and the time you have, and whatever, all of the opportunities available to you. Now, in terms of funding the business, it's the same thing we keep talking about on this show, really, where yes, you can always take a bank loan, you can always get more structured systems in place. But if you are just starting, and of course, you cannot necessarily guarantee the success or immense success, let me not say failure, of the business, then you might want to consider financing options that give you a little bit freedom. So maybe friends, crowdfunding is a very good way. So our local ajo, things like that, where you know that you're not necessarily taking a huge risk with your money, particularly because you're not going to be paying high interest rates. Now, for whether or not their investments paying higher than 10%, I'll say, yeah, there's, I mean, so many people talk about real estate investments or cryptocurrency platforms or whatever it is. I would say that with the way times are right now, fixed income investments, again, something we have said over time, fixed income investments are not doing so well now because of the state of the economy. And so you need to try to take a level of risk so that you can get anything slightly higher than double-digit inflation. Yeah, so there are also levels of risk that you might need to take. So for example, cryptocurrency can give you 20 times your investment. It can also take you deep diving down, like we've seen. But then there are also things like agrotech, which I like, but I haven't particularly paid attention to. There are investments in the agricultural sector. There are good mutual funds that are still doing well because they are managed by professionals who can give you, who know how to optimize the market movements and all of that. So you just need to understand what your investment mandate is. So what is your objective? Do you mind losing a bit of your cash? Is it just to hold money? So probably, and this is why a fund manager is good when you don't have an idea of what you want to do and probably don't have enough money to go into the market to make solid investment and try to make huge gains. These people will ask you all these questions, and then if they feel, okay, you are risk averse, then they might say, okay, this is the kind of mutual fund or this is the kind of platform you can use. And if they feel you can take it all in, then they will put you in investment platforms that can potentially give you higher than that. But right now, I would say the first thing is to have a very good understanding of the times we're in so that somebody will not just come and tell you, I'm going to give you 20% every month and you're just going to jump at it. Understand the nature of the investments. So most times it just takes a little bit of an explanation from professionals like Olumide, who will tell you exactly what the investment is about. And when you have that clear, you can jump in. But do not be afraid to get a little skin in the game because those are the times we're in right now. If you want to yield anything higher than already high inflation, yeah.
And just to add up, just to add up to what Loretta said, there's basically a story coming up in the next minutes on the Nairametrics site. We broke down stocks that are giving yields of more than 18.12%. And the research I found out was that a lot of people tend to undermine our equity market. And you see, stocks like okay, I don't want to mention names, but you see, if you look at tier 2 banks, for example, most of them are doing better than the inflation rate. So I get amused when people tell me that, oh, the Nigerian stock market is because a lot of people don't know the entry level and the exit level. And that's what Loretta is just advising you guys. It's compulsory. In fact, as long as you guys are saying it's advisable to have an investment advisor. These guys most of them don't charge you a fee for being for offering this service to you, especially for retail investors. And there's so many out there, you understand? For example, I have about 4 or 5 of them that personally I even seek counsel. That's part of my exposure in finance. So it takes pretty much wisdom when you guys get to, because there are so many opportunities right now. Forget the fact that the market is correcting. There are some stocks that have done 120% as I speak to you, yearly returns, and they are just starting. So I just advise you guys, it's not too late, but at the same time, always ensure that you don't fall for these scams that are prevailing outside. You understand? Go to a regulated financial investment bank. If you really want to look for it, check on the Nairametrics site or the Security Exchange Commission. There are a list of regulated financial entities. Thank you.
All right, Olumide, thank you very much. Guys, let's get into the crypto part now. And the kind of number of questions from our listeners as well on cryptocurrency. So I think I'll just do a little bit of a combination to make it easier to answer.
Okay.
Will Bitcoin still hit $100,000? One person asked. And then if I combine that, what are ways to avoid scams when investing in cryptos? So it's a two-in-one question.
Okay. Yeah. Let me start with the latter one because I think that's very important. First of all, you need to avoid a lot of too good to be true influencers. I see a lot of people on social media. They get their financial advice from these guys. Yeah, these guys might not mean harm, but oftentimes they don't have the acumen to understand financial markets. So because they recommend a product does not mean that that product will fly. You understand? So first of all, ensure that you follow handles that have financial capabilities, sites like Nairametrics, Bloomberg, Wall Street Journal. Yes, if you have this account, then the Security Exchange Commission, make sure you have a kind of following with those guys. Then secondly, you don't respond to every anonymous call, emails that you don't know. You don't respond by disclosing your private information, even if the person at form knows your basic name or ID or things like that. It's often wise that you don't disclose your financial information or even certain details about you by these platforms. Then you don't open any links. You don't just click on any links for the fact that Binance, for example, sends you a message might not mean that it came from Binance. It's, even I've gotten a lot of scam links that it took me the grace of God and diligence for me to see that these emails are not really from Binance. So be very, very sensitive to that. You understand? Don't review your financial information. I see a lot of people out of excitement, they review their position. It's not a smart thing to do. Scammers trope people like that. You understand? And stop being tempted by giveaways. This life, things don't grow on. Gold doesn't grow on the road. You understand? So if anybody's promising you 60% return and you can't do background check on that person, you understand, then I think you find yourself to do, because most of the time, a lot of people fall for this scam because of greed. Because when you do diligence and you speak with your financial advisor, you have a counsel, the chances of being defrauded now reduces to a greater level. So I think that's then for Bitcoin getting to $100,000. Well, I'm not God, but you see, based on market sentiment and things like that, it's very unlikely that I see Bitcoin heading at that price this year, because there are so many factors you need to look at. If you remember, one of the most powerful agenda of the most powerful man in the world, I'm talking of Joe Biden, he spoke about climate change, and he spoke about the fact that the world needs to handle that with iron fist. And that's why you could see that crude oil investments over the years has trickled down, because a lot of companies now are looking at renewables. So the fact that Elon Musk mentioned he had concerns about Bitcoins consuming power with institutional investors. So some investors virtually left the scene. So I think it would take something like Apple, Facebook, or Bill Gates himself saying he has Bitcoin, which is very unlikely. So I think the fundamentals. But I think the basic thing here is that if you are not too exposed, you will not bother about the price. For example, I've held some of these positions for more than 5 years, and I'll tell you the truth is that if you have held Bitcoin this long, you will have gained nothing less than 30, 40,000%. So you won't be bothered by a 200% pullback. So don't get exposed to things that you pretty don't understand, and try and put a little, don't put so much of your funds. I advise between 5 to 10%. If you are putting above that, then you should be ready for that. So I think bookmakers will tell you that very unlikely. JP Morgan, although JP Morgan recently said that Bitcoin might hit 150,000, but like I said, regulation, environmental concern might make that a dream.
Just recently, I know China
Next.
also.
Yeah.
China also did put some regulatory, shall I say, brackets.
Yeah, just like Nigeria. Yeah. They excluded, yes, their financial systems, because they realized that the crypto market was taking hold of their system. And China, being a one-party system, likes to control power to the optimal level. So they saw that as a threat. Although people say it's much more of an economic issue than an environmental issue. So another thing that is going down on Bitcoin, just like you said, most of the mining is done in China. In fact, 70% of Bitcoin mining is done in China. So that way a lot, because these miners, apart from that, they mine Bitcoin, they facilitate Bitcoin transactions. For every transaction you do, a miner is one that will help execute. So these things are very volatile right now. So it's going to take a lot, but it's still possible. For me, I doubt to see 100,000 because we're
Okay.
already in the middle of the year, already June, right?
Finally, Olumide, before we go, in 1 minute, this person says, I was asked to stake 3 million naira in platin coin, and I will get 1 billion naira in 10 years. Should I invest in it or not?
Yeah, Adu, thank you very much. I think I'll say this in 30 seconds. If you listen to my second paragraph, I think this just tells you that this is scam. You understand? This is just scam. I think a lot of people, you see, because of that return, that tells you greed. That coin, if you do research on that coin, what's the underlying value of that asset? It's almost zero. That to me is as good as scam, but it's not just for me to judge. I think also it's better to do research on that kind of thing because nobody saw Bitcoin doing 3 million percent. You understand? And Bitcoin was because it's had a value. It was the pioneer crypto that solved decentralized finance, and this was what triggered institutional buying. So for that kind of coin, I'll advise investors to run away with all their lives. Because to me, it's like you're putting money in the toilet. Yeah.
All right. Thank you guys for joining me today. And appreciate all the answers you provided on the show. Looking forward to seeing you next Wednesday. Okay.
Thank
Yeah.
you.
Thanks, Adu. Yeah.
All right. Bye. Bye. All right. There you have it. Everyday Money Matters on Lagos Talks 91.3 FM.